a man and his war elephants, crossing the frozen Alps, leaving a trail of shattered armies and terrified cities in his wake. Rome, the mightiest power of the ancient world, trembles for 16 long years at the mere mention of his name. Mothers hush their children with a chilling warning, "Be quiet, or Hannibal will come." This is the tale of Hannibal Barca, the most formidable enemy ever to threaten Rome, a military genius whose audacious campaigns changed the fate of empires. In the year 247 BC, amid the bustling streets and harbors of Carthage, a child was born, destined for a singular purpose: vengeance. Hannibal Barca was the son of Hamilcar, the great Carthaginian general, a man who had tasted defeat but never at the hands of Rome. In the shadow of a bitter peace, Carthage simmered with resentment, its pride wounded by the outcome of the First Punic War. From his earliest days, Hannibal was steeped in the stories of loss and betrayal, absorbing both the pain of his city and his father's burning hatred for their rivals across the sea. It was at the tender age of 9, standing before the altar of Baal, that Hannibal's destiny was sealed. His father, Hamilcar, demanded a solemn oath. With one hand on the sacred fire, Hannibal swore before the gods, "I will never be a friend to Rome." That vow would echo across the centuries. It was more than a promise. It was a prophecy that would reshape the world. Hannibal was not merely a warrior, he was educated for command. His father taught him the art of leading men from every corner of the Mediterranean: Numidians with their swift horses, Iberians with their fierce pride, Celts and Africans, all united under Carthage's banner. Hannibal absorbed lessons in diplomacy, logistics, and the science of war. By the time he reached 26, he had already earned the loyalty of seasoned soldiers and the respect of Carthage, rising to supreme commander in Spain, Carthage's new power base on the Iberian Peninsula. But it was not enough to avenge Carthage by defending its lands. Hannibal knew that true victory lay in striking Rome itself. In 219 BC, he seized a golden opportunity. The city of Saguntum, a Roman ally in Spain, fell to his army after a brutal siege. The die was cast. Rome, its honor insulted, declared war. Yet Hannibal had no intention of fighting on Carthaginian soil. He would carry the war to the very heart of Italy. What followed was a plan so daring, so seemingly impossible, that it would enter legend. To reach Italy, most expected Hannibal to take the sea or follow the well-trodden coastal roads. Instead, he chose the unthinkable: to march his army and his elephants across the towering Alps, a feat no one believed possible. 90,000 infantry, 12,000 cavalry, and 37 war elephants set out from Spain, their journey stretching over rivers, hostile tribes, and snow-choked mountain passes. For 15 agonizing days, Hannibal's army battled the elements: sub-zero temperatures, blizzards, avalanches, and starvation. Men froze in their armor, horses and elephants slipped from icy cliffs. When they finally staggered down into the plains of Italy, only 26,000 infantry, 8,000 cavalry, and a single stubborn elephant survived. But Hannibal had accomplished the impossible. The Roman heartland lay defenseless before him. Rome, confident in its numbers and discipline, rushed to meet the invader. At Trebia, in late 218 BC, 40,000 Roman soldiers faced Hannibal's battered force. Hannibal, however, was a master of deception. Feigning retreat, he lured the Romans into the icy river and unleashed a hidden force led by his brother Mago, a perfectly timed ambush. The result was slaughter. 30,000 Romans fell, their bodies freezing in the winter waters. But Hannibal was just beginning. In the summer of 217 BC, near Lake Trasimene, he set a new trap. Under cover of early morning fog, he concealed his troops in the hills along the lake's edge. The Roman army, marching blindly into the mist, was enveloped on all sides. In just 3 hours, Narcissus, 15,000 Romans were killed, 10,000 captured, and their commander, Consul Flaminius, slain. Hannibal sent Flaminius' severed head as a grisly trophy back to Carthage. Then came Cannae, in 216 BC, the battle that would define Hannibal's genius for all time. Facing a Roman army of 86,000, Hannibal commanded just 50,000 men. He arranged his lines in a subtle crescent, placing his less reliable Gaulish troops in the center, his elite Africans and cavalry on the flanks. The Romans, hungry for revenge and confident in their superior numbers, pressed forward, crushing Hannibal's center. But Hannibal had planned for this. As the Roman legions surged in, his wings swung shut, enveloping them in a deadly embrace. His cavalry, having routed the Roman horsemen, attacked from the rear. Hemmed in on all sides, the Roman army was annihilated. 70,000 killed, including 80 senators and 2 consuls. The fields of Cannae ran red with blood. For centuries, this double envelopment would be studied by generals, from Napoleon to the commanders of World War II, as the pinnacle of battlefield brilliance. Rome was shattered. Panic swept the city. Towns and allies deserted by the score. For the first time, the gates of Rome itself seemed within reach. The phrase, Hannibal ante portas, Hannibal is at the gates, became a cry of terror. Yet, at the height of his triumph, Hannibal hesitated. He did not march on Rome. His own officers questioned him. Maharbal, his brilliant cavalry commander, famously rebuked him. "You know how to win a victory, Hannibal, but not how to use one." Hannibal lacked the siege engines and supplies to storm Rome's formidable walls, and he hoped the shock of his victories would provoke Rome's allies to revolt or force Rome to the peace table. Yet in that pause, Rome found time to recover. Determined never to face Hannibal in open battle again, Rome turned to a new strategy. Quintus Fabius Maximus, nicknamed Cunctator, the Delayer, adopted tactics of attrition, refusing battle, harassing supply lines, and scorching the earth before Hannibal's advance. The Carthaginian found himself chasing shadows, his army deprived of food and reinforcements, his Italian allies wavering as years dragged on. But Rome's greatest weapon would prove to be a young survivor of Cannae, Publius Cornelius Scipio. Scipio, learning from Hannibal's own tactics, took the war to Spain, then struck at Carthage's heart in North Africa. Forced to defend his homeland, Hannibal was recalled after 16 years in Italy. At Zama in 202 BC, the two titans finally met. This time, the advantage was Rome's. The famed Numidian cavalry, once Hannibal's allies, now rode for Scipio. Hannibal's elephants were scattered by clever Roman tactics, and his soldiers, weary and outnumbered, could not withstand the final charge. Defeated at last, Hannibal was forced to flee. Carthage sued for peace, ending the Second Punic War. Hannibal's final years were spent as a wanderer. Hunted by Rome, he offered his services to distant kings, always seeking a way to strike back at his old enemy. In the end, surrounded and betrayed, he chose death over capture, swallowing poison at the age of 64. His final words were bitter yet defiant. "Let us relieve the Romans of their fears, since they seem to find it so tedious to wait for an old man's death." Yet even in defeat, Hannibal's legacy burned bright. His tactics at Cannae became the gold standard of military maneuver, inspiring the likes of Napoleon and the German generals of the 20th century. He wielded fear as a weapon, using psychological warfare to paralyze his foes long before the first spear was thrown. His ability to lead a polyglot army, men of different tongues and customs, across the most hostile terrain spoke to his genius in logistics and leadership. For 16 years, Hannibal haunted the dreams of Rome. 3 legendary victories, over 200,000 Roman dead, and a single man who made an entire empire tremble. Yet, for all his brilliance, Hannibal ultimately lost the war. His focus on battlefield triumphs could not overcome Rome's unbreakable will, its political resilience, and its mastery of grand strategy. In the end, Rome endured, and Carthage fell. Still, Hannibal remains a symbol of indomitable will and daring, proof that with enough determination, a single individual can shake the foundations of a superpower. His story is a testament to what genius and relentless drive can achieve, even against impossible odds. Consider this: if Hannibal had marched on Rome after Cannae, would history have changed? Could Carthage have replaced Rome as the master of the Mediterranean? And who stands taller among the giants of history, Hannibal or Alexander the Great? Share your thoughts and join us for more stories from the epic tapestry of the ancient world. Let the debate begin.